What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Crocs and Hot Pockets podcast. Today is Sunday, March 13th, 2022, and this is episode number 175. It is great to see you in chat. Thank you guys for joining us for the podcast today. Unfortunately, we have lost an hour of our lives with daylight savings time absolutely fucking up everyone's schedule, but that's okay. We're here and we made it. So tonight on the podcast, creator of Clippy, we have Dom, not Don. What's going on, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Glad to be here.
I am the absolute worst speller in the world, and I never check anything that I type. So that was 100% my fault.
I'm used to it. I get called Don, Tom, which is terrible because I've got a brother, Tom. So, my mum wasn't planning when we went through that.
So first of all, let's talk about a tragedy already today. So not only daylight savings time taking an hour of our life, not only me spelling your name wrong, but please tell us what happened immediately before the podcast and what you had to do in order to make this podcast happen.
Well, Berlin internet being what it was, my Wi-Fi has been down for like the last 3 hours at home, which is pretty much just a daily occurrence at this point. So toddle into the office and set up here. Normally, I don't have a giant green plant behind me, so yeah, mixing it up for a change, but it's scenery.
So not only that, but this man rode his bike for 20 minutes into the office at night on Sunday in Berlin just to make this shit happen. So first of all, you didn't have to do that. Thank you.
What can I say? When it's a beer, make it happen. It's only a bike
I love it,
ride.
dude. So you said that that's a primary mode of transportation in Berlin, and that's not something that I think that I knew.
Yeah. I mean, Berlin's a great city. Like most European capitals, super heavy on public transport. But yeah, bikes are super easy to get around here. There's actually a company that you can rent a bike for like 20 euros a month, and they just handle everything. So pop tire or brakes go, just ring them up, and within 24 hours they'll bring you a brand new bike. Like, so easy.
What?
Yeah, it's
I've
great.
never heard of it. Shit doesn't even exist like that for cars. I don't think. That's pretty crazy. So are you currently subscribed to that service?
Yeah. I've been using it for like 2 years now. It's like so easy. I could buy a bike for like a couple of €100. They're not expensive, but why bother
Right.
when I've got to take care of the maintenance and stuff? Just open up the app, ping them, and someone will come fix it.
That's crazy. So that was going to be my next question is if you were somebody who spent, 2-3 grand or whatever that converts over into euro, and have like a super, super beefy city bike, or if you're like, okay, I'm buying the minimum thing possible. I don't want to spend a whole lot. And then when it breaks, I'll just fix it and move on.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not one to like cycling. It's just a means to get around when I can't be bothered to jump on the subway. So like, yeah, 20 quid a month and it just gets me going and does the trick. Like, don't need more than that. I got a basket on the front and everything. Living the dream.
Okay, so this is kind of a personal question. Have you had any really bad bike accidents or gotten hit by a car?
Literally had one on Friday.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sorry to hear that.
It wasn't a bad one. Just people are just so clueless sometimes. I was just going down a bike lane and the guy just out of nowhere slams on his brakes, stops in the middle of the lane. So I inevitably just rear-end him. Like, got no choice about it. I can't swerve. There's construction like fences on my left. I've got no choice but to slam on my brakes and hope that I don't rear-end him. Fortunately, I did. We both come off our bikes, and he starts going mental at me. And he's like, "Why did you hit me?" Like, blah, blah, blah. Starts yelling at me in German at first. Unfortunately, my German sucks. So I'm like, I don't know. And then he finally switches to English, yells at me more, and I'm like, look, if you're going to stop in the middle of the lane, you lose all right to be annoyed at me. Like, I can't help it. So that's quite a regular occurrence. People just walk
God
out and
damn.
stuff. You just get used to it.
So you said that your German sucks. Are you not native to Germany? How long have you lived there?
So this time around, I've lived in Germany 2 years now, actually. Pretty much to the day. So I actually moved to Berlin at the beginning of COVID. Terrible timing. Couldn't have timed it worse if I tried. But I'm half English, half German. My dad was in the British forces, so I grew up in Germany as a kid. And obviously, grew up in like army bases and stuff like that. So, it's all speaking English. Didn't really get that much German interaction. Then moved back to the UK and lost it all as well. So I can get by in a conversation, but yeah, I wouldn't say I'm fluent by any stretch of the imagination.
Gotcha. What was the reason for moving to Germany? If that isn't too personal of a question.
No, I'm always happy to talk about. I've talked about this loads of times. I just got bored in the UK. Like I said, because I've moved around all my life. If I stay in one area for too long, I just get bored to tears. So normally, like traveling scratches that itch. I can just, bugger off somewhere sunny and then come back. But yeah, I just finally got to the point, and then I looked around. There was an IT job in Berlin. Applied on a whim, got it, and yeah, next thing I know, a month and a half later, there's a pandemic starting, and I'm moving, and I'm like, great. So happy
Oh
that
my
it is.
God. Was that now at that time, was that like the most stressful thing ever? Or like looking back into where our world is at now, does it not seem like that big of a thing to do it back then?
It felt like the world was falling apart at that point. Like for most people, to be fair, everyone thought it was such a weird time. But actually, looking back, I got so lucky. Like as I flew over, I was supposed to have an apartment for 3 months. Renting a room in someone's apartment. That fell through because they were going to go back to the UK. So I actually landed in Berlin with nowhere to live. Which at the time you're like, oh my god, what am I supposed to do? Luckily, the company I worked for had like a company apartment. It's normally reserved for like super senior hires, like executive stuff like that. The executive that was supposed to be in it the month I arrived was stuck in the US because of travel restrictions. So I ended up getting an apartment for 2 months for free, no rent, nothing. So it's like, yeah, at the time, bloody nightmare. But hey, it all kind of worked out in the end, so can't complain too much.
Awesome. Oh, well, hey, I'm glad that worked out for you. Well, now, when you say that it was an apartment meant for executives, were you like in an executive apartment? Like, was there like, oh no?
it was this tiny like 1 bedroom apartment, the smallest little kitchen. It was just like they rent them off like this company. It's like these serviced apartments, but didn't even have a TV. Like it was grim.
Damn. I was kind of hoping you were going to say the opposite, but it is what it is.
Would have been
Oh,
nice.
man. All right. So, Dom, I want to take a quick minute just to introduce you to the audience. One of the things that I am the worst at is taking a minute at the beginning of the show to introduce you to everybody so people know who they're listening to. So do me a favor, introduce yourself real quick. Tell us what you do, and then I'll follow you up with some questions.
Yeah. So as we've established, my name's Dom. I'm a product manager at Efuse. The reason I'm kind of here and why I'm a product manager at Efuse is I originally founded Clippy, which is a set of tools for content creators. Founded that about a year ago now, and that got acquired by Efuse back in October. So yeah, just enjoying building stuff for streamers. I've been a streamer myself for 3 years now. Just enjoyed it, and just been enjoying the Twitch community really.
So perfect, because that leads right into my next question. So in regards to content creation, were you a creator first, like a content creator first, and then did you come into development afterwards, or was it the other way around?
It was a bit of both. I've been doing development stuff like as side projects for years. Always been tinkering. Was an IT admin by day, so that was where I kind of got my development background. So yeah, I was always like twiddling with things, just knocking things up out of nowhere. And then that kind of came into Twitch was, I was just streaming for like 3 years. And then one of those days I was just like, hey, I'd love to have this thing. I'm going to go build it. And then whilst I was building it, I was like, may as well just let other people have it as well. Why not? And now we're here. So
Take us through the beginnings of that, because one of the qualities that I lack as a person that I would like to have is programming and development. I tried going to school for programming. I started with like C++, and then I started dabbling in a little bit of I would say like web, like started doing HTML stuff. But my brain just couldn't wrap it couldn't wrap itself around how coding works. I'm a visual person. I'm not a text person at all. So trying to learn that was really, really difficult. And I can't, I always think back to, I had a math teacher that was like, if you get algebra, then you're going to go one way in life. But if you get geometry, you're going to go in a totally different direction in life. And I think that's, I was a geometry and trig, like those things just came naturally. But algebra, calculus, that shit did not stick well with me at all.
Yeah, no, I was always quite good at maths, but I bloody hated it. So I never really got involved. But it was the same with programming. For years since like my teens, I would always try to learn, web development or back end development. Never stuck in my head. And then as I got involved with IT, I soon had problems where, I had to script something out. So, trying to figure out how to create 500 user accounts. I'm not doing that manually. Stop that. So I'm going to go on Google and I'm going to find a way to automate this shit. And that's what I did. I was just like, I've got a problem. What's a bit of code I can find someone else has done? And I'll just slap that in. And then once you copy and paste enough things, suddenly you start to notice the patterns. You're like, oh, okay, so I could tweak this little bit to my thing, and now I've got a thing. So it was the same thing when I started with Clippy. I was like, I don't know how to build like a web app or any of this, but I know what thing I want to do. I want to show a clip on screen, and I just go through those processes. And I had to learn like user state management and how all these like things. I had to touch databases for the first time, and I was like, don't know how, so I'm just going to look up how do I install a database, watch some YouTube videos, and just keep doing that. And I don't enjoy it. I hate programming. I really, really don't enjoy it. But it's a tool to solve a problem, and so it was the right tool at the right time, and so I'll go through it and I'll knock it out. But yeah, I hate writing code.
And as somebody that has been in the IT field as well, it wasn't until probably about 3 years ago that I started getting into more of the scripting, the more like the back end stuff using PowerShell, especially with like Microsoft 365. And it's still insane to me how many things are still done in PowerShell for Office 365. Like when they literally have web portals that are built for administration, they're like, oh, you want to do that one thing? We haven't built that into the portal yet. You're just gonna have to script that in PowerShell. And very, very daunting of a task to get into that first, not being, not having a programming field at all. When I stopped trying to learn how to program and I got into IT, I thought that I wouldn't have to learn code or scripting or command line, but that couldn't have been further from the truth. I had a lot of that ahead of me. And then of course, like you have, when you're out there trying to learn programming, or you're trying to learn a new skill, and then you have this last generation of tech people that are like, oh, you can do that all in command line. I don't want to do it in command line. Like, it's 2022. I don't want, like, when I ask people about, hey, what's like the best way to replicate two different NASs together? Like, oh, you just run rsync and then you automate it with cron tab. It's like, no. Give me a portal, give me a graphical user interface, and fuck off.
Yeah, it's crazy how like full circle we've come. Like we've got away from command line. Think like to Windows 95, Windows 98, and early 2000s, like all in on the GUI, make everything graphical and pretty. And now somehow we've come back to like, if you don't know the command line, you suck. And then the
Yes.
worst part is you get the Linux fanboys come in and they're like, well, everything has to be the command line. And if you don't know it, you're the worst. And I'm like, I'll be the worst then. Fine. Let me move
Yep.
on.
And I would say that PowerShell is definitely getting a better, because one of the worst things ever is that command line, in most cases, built into Windows operating systems, is black and white. There's not a whole lot of feedback. So when something is wrong, usually when a command prompt is pretty good at telling you what you did wrong or what's missing or what are the parameters that are missing. But PowerShell has done a better job with like integrating other plugins that you can use with PowerShell, color coding things. And, the blue is a lot easier on the eyes than like the black and white to me. So I'm glad that we're moving in that general direction. And there's still things that can just be done better in command line, but it's hard to accept that sometimes.
Yeah, and one of the things I always like PowerShell was how I first got into coding and scripting. One of the things I used to really like was back when Microsoft Exchange was a thing, we didn't use Office 365. It was all on-premise mail servers. Every time you did something in the GUI of Microsoft Exchange, it would actually tell you the equivalent PowerShell command it had ran, because it was still just using PowerShell on the back end. So you could go, oh, okay, this is how I've done that thing. So now I can just copy and paste that into PowerShell and learn it. And that was great. They're kind of hidden that away now, but even Office 365 is still just executing PowerShell, just doesn't tell you it. So
Right. Yeah, I got into IT probably, so this was when I was 20. So this would have been 11 years ago. So 11 years ago would be like 2010. So right around that era, the places that I were working on had just gotten rid of their Windows XP machines. So like my experience with managing or being an admin started right when like Windows 7 was at its prime. So I missed all of the early days of Windows with a lot of command prompt, and I didn't mess with Linux at all at that point. I had no command line experience on that end. So like I came into it pretty new. So same thing, like by the time that I had worked through all of my A+ certification skills, and I started getting into the system administration side, Office 365 was just ramping up, and everybody was turning in their Exchange 2013 or 2016 servers for Microsoft 365. And so again, I didn't get any Exchange administration through that whole era, which not necessarily sad about, because I've only heard horror stories about managing Exchange boxes on-prem, but there is a lot of that old school knowledge that all the stuff that you learned in Exchange can only be used forward. Like you're just going to get more opportunities to use it with Office 365. So I am learning backwards a little bit that way. But again, it's, if you were just an Exchange admin back then, you're probably having a hard time finding a job right now. And that's just like with the evolution of technology.
yeah, that's for sure. And I'm very jealous that you never had to do such Exchange, because it was a pain. And the worst part is when it goes wrong, it really goes wrong. So I was working for a company at one point, and we had something like 45 Exchange servers. We ran like a hosted desktop system, basically. So we had something like 30,000 users across like all these different companies, and they ran all their mail through us. And so, yeah, we had a whole team of peeps who just sole focus was Exchange day in, day out. And I was more just like on the systems engineering team. So I was just touching old a little bit, which is why I got around it all. But yeah, when things went belly up, yeah, I'm glad I'm not around there anymore.
Were you, as far as your IT jobs, were you around, or at least still managing Exchange servers when that Exchange vulnerability happened last year, where it was like if you weren't on the certain cumulative update, that you had to upgrade to the most recent version?
No, thankfully I wasn't. About 4 years ago now, I transitioned over to Mac admin instead of like systems administration and stuff like that. So thankfully everything's all cloud based, and life's a hell of a lot easier when you're dealing with Mac OS versus Windows systems and stuff.
Yep.
So, but I've got friends who are still working at that company, and yeah, having to go through that with all the servers through that vulnerability was a nightmare to say the least. So,
Dom and I were just nutting over the Apple ecosystem before the podcast got started. So literally like a half an hour before the podcast went live, one of my friends in the tech space, Fantastic Tech, or Colonel Fantastic, super cool dude, and we fuck with each other a little bit because we have differing opinions, and he made a TikTok with just like some controversial opinions just to get some people's like juices going. And then so one of his comments was the Apple ecosystem is overrated, and I flipped the table jokingly and made a response TikTok about like why I love the Apple ecosystem and why some of the features are really cool. And it got some traction, and there are like literally as we're speaking, there are hundreds of angry Microsoft soy boys that are going off in my comments about just how terrible Apple is and how the ecosystem sucks and everything is too expensive. So it's always good fun. It's always good fun watching that pop off in the comments.
I love it when people get mad about Apple because I'm just sat here like, hee hee hee, Mac go brr. And they're just like, they're so overrated, like, you're wasting all your money, like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, don't care. They're nice, work well for me. And I'm just going to
Yep.
keep on
Yep.
being happy. Like, you do what you want. Don't like them, that's fine. I'm not going to make you like Apple. But don't tell me it's bad because it's not. Like,
And I think that's where the frustration comes in now is I always see people saying things like, well, Apple people act like they're better than everybody else. And I'm like, I don't see that. Like Apple people who buy Apple products make it seem like they're gods and that they're better than everybody else around. I'm like, what? Where is this happening? I don't see these conversations happening. But because of the nature of the rivalry, if you make content talking about products that you love, even if the conversation isn't starting like this is why iPhone is better than Android, right? Even if you're just like, hey, I just discovered this feature today, didn't know it was a thing, it was super cool. Just highlighting something like that can just start a war. And it's kind of hard to be passionate about technology right now because of those walls are just dividing people left and right. And so that conversation could be pretty frustrating to have sometimes. But it's like at the end of the day, I still love both. I still love both systems. I use them both. But my experience as a technology enthusiast, I can't describe how much the Apple ecosystem has made things convenient for me, has made certain pain points of using tech easier. Again, it's not that it's better. It's that this ecosystem has made my technology life better for me. Not that it's a superior product.
absolutely. Like one of my biggest pet peeves is anytime like highlight, oh, my iPhone's got this new feature or something. Someone is always like, well, Android's had that for 17 years. And I'm like, great, good for Android. And then always biggest one I really is always the argument like Android's so customizable, like I can do all this. I don't care. I just want to be able to get text messages, look at dumb tweets, and send funny videos on TikTok. That's all I don't need to care about how customizable my widgets are. So like, that's what you want.
Right.
Great, kudos to you. Go customize the shit out of your phone. I just want a phone I can put in my pocket and move on with my life.
Yep, that's me too. And I used to be on the Android train. I used to get in verbal altercations on Facebook with people that liked Apple products. Like I would actively go out and seek people talking about Apple products just to argue with them. Oh, the Facebook glory days. But yeah, I feel the same way. So for now that you're on a more Mac centered environment, what are your favorite tools that help you do what you do, at least for your day job?
So one of my favorite tools is always going to be the Bear app, which goes on all iOS devices. One of my main things I really like that app is because it's got an Apple Watch app that I can do voice notes with. So I can just sit here and have like a brainwave moment. And go, that would be cool. Instead of having to go type it in, I can just record on my watch, babble some shit for 30 seconds, and then pick it up on any of my other device, transcribe it into a proper note. And actually, I don't actually use Bear app for any of my other notes, but just for that one feature. And then I go and
Yeah.
transcribe it into Notion and live my life via Notion is my main thing.
Fucking Notion is the greatest. I fucking love Notion so much. And Bear, I used to use Bear as my primary like scripting and note taking app. But as somebody that isn't 100% on a Mac, the lack of the Windows operating system access really. I couldn't use it anymore. I felt myself severely handicapped. And maybe when they come out with their web version, it'll be a different story. But I couldn't sit around and wait around for that. If I'll give Microsoft, I give Microsoft lots of credit. One thing that I will give them credit for is OneNote. I really wish that there was a Mac OS ecosystem enabled app like OneNote. Because the same thing you said, like taking voice notes and being able to interject them, that is so cool. The way that you can build out documents in OneNote is really, really intuitive and awesome. There's some other things about OneNote that I fucking hate. But other than that, like I wish that there was a super detailed, feature-rich OneNote that was native to the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, because just before I switched over to Apple, I was all in on OneNote. So like I was living my life by it, and then thankfully I've got Notion now, and Notion is just OneNote but better. Is the way I say it. It's like it's got everything I ever wanted in OneNote, and it's not as clunky as OneNote used to be. I just wish Notion had some more sense like native apps. All their apps are basically just Electron apps, and that's fine.
Right.
But like, give me a way that I can have an Apple Watch and put notes straight into into Notion, and I will not. Like that will be my dream come true.
Yep. Now, one thing that I think is last kind of point, and then we'll get back to talking about Clippy and Efuse. One of the things that I have loved in tech is the introduction of voice into multiple things. So voice text messages, using voice with or any smart home devices. Like I will speak my text messages rather than text them out a lot of times, especially at work. If I'm in the middle of something, I just grab the phone, hold down Siri, and then start talking to it. I love speech to text. Is that something that you use in your day-to-day, or have you not really found it to work to fit into your workflow quite yet?
My problem is most speech recognition just can't grab my voice, and I don't know why. I don't know if I've tried like really slowing down and talking super enunciating. Siri just hates it when it comes to like trying to transcribe. So I've just given up. I think it's because I've got this like weird Northern English accent mixed in with just this bastardized accent from everywhere I've lived, and it just can't pin me down. So it's just like, you know what? I give up. The only time I use it is for voices. I wish I could, because yeah, I would transcribe everything. I'm a fast typer, but I can think a lot faster than I can type. So if I could just reel off a dictation for 10 minutes and it just appear,
Mm-hmm.
and then, maybe fix a few errors and move on, that would be the bloody dream. But yeah, doesn't like me. So try again in a few years once they can figure me out.
I will say your accent is very, very unique. And, because you said that you lived in Germany, I, again, just assume that people who live places have just lived there the whole life. And I hadn't seen any videos of you talking yet. So I didn't know what to expect. And then you started talking. I'm like, where the fuck is this guy from?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Got a little bit of everything at this point. So keeps me interested.
So how many different countries have you lived in so far then?
Only two. Lived in the UK.
Only two. Okay.
Lived in England and lived in Germany. So, but then lots of different cities throughout both. So, kind of as you move around, regional accents, regional dialects changes. Like when I lived in the north of England, people would assume I'm from the south. Then when I moved down south and lived in London for like 2 years, they assumed I'm from the north, and I'm like, well, where the hell am I from then?
Yeah, I honestly, I didn't know that there was a big dialect or accent difference between the north and the south of England.
Not even just the north and the south. Like, go from once. So, like, I've got what we might call a bit of a Yorkshire accent, but then you go from like York, which is on one side of Yorkshire, to like Hull, which is only like an hour and a half drive away. Accents change, and then you go across the river. You're in like Grimsby in Lincolnshire, and that's like again a 50-minute drive from Hull. Completely different accent. Like, so crazy how much it shifts throughout the UK in such relatively small differences.
Interesting. Okay. Well, on the subject of Clippy, so this is actually how I knew of you. That's the product that really brought you into my ecosystem. I remember I think I might have found Clippy about 6 months in. And I remember going over Clippy live on stream, and I don't know what happened, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And I don't know if it was like the browser that I was using wasn't giving me certain elements. It was a stream where I had checked out Clippy, Combo, Streamladder, and something else. And like Combo would not work in the browser that I was using. And then so I kind of like, I hadn't given it any more thought at that point. And then I saw the acquisition with Efuse, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, must be dope. So if you want to take a second to explain what Clippy is to anybody that's here that doesn't know what it is, just to give them a kind of an idea of what the product does.
Yeah, so it's really interesting you make that point because the website used to suck. That's because I'm not a marketer. I'm not a UI UX designer. I don't know how to sell this stuff. So I just cobbled this small website together and kind of put some bits and pieces on there. So like yeah, it sucked at selling the product. The only way you could really figure out Clippy is if you saw Clippy in action. And so what Clippy is all about is about watching clips and engaging around clips. So the way it first started was for like clip shout outs. So, when you shout someone out in chat, instead of just throwing the link in chat, it would go fetch one of their clips or throw it up in a browser source on your stream. And the whole point about that is it was supposed to be super easy to implement. It's just one browser source you add into stream, and then you can start, shouting people out. But then there was other ways it worked as well. So we had a watch command, so you could link down, say someone links a clip in chat, instead of having to alt tab out your game, go pull up a Chrome window, you just hit exclamation mark watch, pulls up that clip automatically. It just simplifies that experience, so you can actually just focus on enjoying the clip and engaging around that instead of, like I said, all the hassle of trying to bring up a Chrome window and throw it up there. And then we've also now released the BRB player, which is instead of shouting other people out, it's about shouting yourself out. So when you have to go to the bathroom for a 5 minute break, instead of leaving people staring at a spinning empty chair, throw up a BRB scene with a BRB player on, and we'll start pulling in your clips and just show them. And you can filter it, so it'll only show the clips from the current game you're playing. So if you're a variety streamer, if you're playing Apex that day, it'll only show your Apex clips. And the next day, you come in and play Animal Crossing, shows you Animal Crossing clips. So what it's all focused around is clips, hence Clippy.
When you originally debuted the product, and so was the main focus, at least when Clippy started, regarding bringing in clips from people that had rated you. So when you were trying to shout somebody out, like that was like the main feature of Clippy.
Actually, no. It's a feature that doesn't exist anymore. But when Clippy first started, it was a small web page that you could go on and find your clips to download for like TikToks and stuff. So what I had found, there was a tweet from a Twitch partner that I followed on Twitter like November, like 2020, and he was trying to do like a highlight of the month, find his top clips. And there's just no way to do that on Twitch because Twitch only shows relative date ranges. So you can find like your
Mm-hmm.
top clips in like the last 7 days or the last 24 hours. But there was no way to go like, hey, what was my best clips in February? So you can find all that in the Twitch API. So I just threw like a one-page website together that you could just put two date ranges in, the Twitch channel you wanted to look at, and it would pull back all those clips. So that was what Clippy first started as, and was basically the first iteration for about 6 weeks to 2 months. And then in that meantime was when I had this idea to like, hey, if I shout someone out, it'd be super cool if I could throw a clip up of them, give people a reason to go follow them, go check them out. And so I was hungover as hell one morning, and I was just like sat there and I was like, you know what, I want to figure out how to cobble this together. And so I was like, kind of figured out how to show it, and yeah, it kind of went from there. It was really got away from me quickly, that was for sure.
Now, when you started the project and you were like, okay, I'm gonna try and throw this together, what was your knowledge to confidence level? Like, we are okay, I understand about 15% of what is needed to make this happen. Like, what was your percentage of confidence knowing that you could probably make this?
50-50. I was like, I'd done a bit of reading. I was like, looking at the API docs. I was like, yeah, looks like all the pieces are there. I can kind of cobble it together, I reckon. But then I had this like stupid idea. I was like, I want to make it for other people as well. Like, why not? It'd be an interesting thing. So I was just like, yeah. So what I did is I recorded a small demo, and what the product didn't even function at that point. I just go to a point that I could show what it looks like at the end state. So I recorded like this small demo, threw it up on Twitter, and in like 24 hours, it got something that like 15K impressions, which blew my mind because I had 150 followers at the time. So, and I just put like, hey, if you want access to the beta, DM me. Like, I had people DMing me from left, right, and Chelsea that I didn't know. And it was like, hey, how do I get access? It's I need this now. And I was like, oh shit, okay, I need to figure out how to build this thing. So yeah, I didn't spend like the next 2 weeks just furiously hammering away and got it. But yeah, I was just like, shit, what have I got myself into? I don't know if I can actually make this thing. And now there's people who want it. I'm like, well, here we go. I'll
Isn't
figure it
that
out.
crazy? Was this one of the first times that you had like thought that there was a hole in the world and you filled it and then realized like, oh shit, this is going to gain some traction? Like, was this kind of your first experience kind of creating something that people wanted?
Yeah, for sure. Like it wasn't even something that I'd thought anyone else did want. It was I was building it for myself, and I was DMing a couple of friends at the time. I was like, yeah, just fucking around with this thing today. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I'd love some. I was like, okay, fine. Yeah, I'll see if I can, make it available for my friends as well. Is kind of what I was thinking. And so yeah, when I put that demo up on Twitter, it was mostly for my friends to see, so I could be like, hey, this is coming. If you want to get it on your streams, great. And then, yeah, suddenly I've got people that I don't know that don't even follow people I know. Like, there was no like logical connection. They're like, yeah, I went in on this. And I'm like, okay, clearly this is a need. And, this is something people want. And so, yeah, I had to figure it out quick.
I think that's where some of the best products are born is when you find yourself needing something. You see that there is a need. You're like, man, if I could really make something to improve this workflow or make this more efficient, and then it's kind of like you have problems that you think are original, and then you go through a TikTok and you see that like, oh, somebody else also rubs their feet underneath the blanket to comfort themselves because they have ADHD, and you're like, oh my god, somebody does the same thing that I do, and then all of a sudden others start realizing that they're doing the same thing, and then you've got a product that helps people. And it's always success stories like that I thoroughly enjoy hearing about, because it just makes you wonder, like, man, what other holes, this is gonna sound sexual, what other holes can be filled, what other things can we create that can enhance the experience? Because I think for so long, when it came to creating content on Twitch, at least for live streaming, our computers weren't really powerful enough to do what we wanted. Like the ISPs weren't there to support the bandwidth. The computers weren't there. The codecs weren't there. The containers weren't there. And now we've gotten to this point where a $1,000 computer can stream and record gameplay or record streams at the same time. You archive your own footage. You can have a 1080p or a 4K capture card. You can have a webcam. Like, all the technology is there. And now we're at this point where we're having people develop tools that enhance the base experience of streaming, like Clippy. And it's just really cool to see a lot of people who have the talent to get into creating things that enhance the experience of streaming. To where now the quality of a show that you can produce nowadays with the minimal hardware is absolutely insane. Even if you're just like an IRL streamer and you're streaming from your phone, what you can do with your phone now as far as live content creation is bonkers.
Yeah, I find it so interesting. Just even in like the last 2, 3 years, how much the streaming space has changed and how much people are really diving into these tools now. And I kind of liken it back to like when YouTube was first a thing. Just throw up the crappiest little like 640 by 480p video, like that's fine. That'll do it. You'll go viral, 2 million views, and like now the bar is just so much higher, but in such a good way. Like
Mhm.
people are really trying to drive and improve their craft, and now they've got multiple camera angles and top downs, and setting scenes and all this stuff. And that's what I think is coming into Twitch now. Is it used to be the same, just a little webcam or not even a webcam and some gameplay, and that was enough to be great content. And like, that still works for some people, but it's so exciting just to see people really digging in and trying to figure out how they can improve their broadcasts and make it more engaging for audiences, get the community more involved. It's why one of my favorite categories on Twitch is just chatting, because it
Yes.
looks like such quote unquote lazy things. Oh yeah, you're sitting there talking to a camera. It's like that's the hardest content to create, and it's also one of those experimental. You can really dig in and try these different tools out and see what fits with your content. So I love seeing what just chatting streamers do.
Absolutely. And that's actually a really great point because I recently, within the past year, switched from gaming content over to just chatting content, and to where, I can game for like 7 or 8 hours. Live streaming is a really long time, but I could game 3, 4, 5 hours and then be fine afterwards. But after 3 hours of just chatting, of like nonstop conversating and multitasking and entertaining, those streams end and I'm just like, oh my fucking god, I am exhausted. So it's again, two totally different dynamics of live streaming. But yeah, the just chatting is something that I remember when just chatting first dropped, and it was probably the like Twitch boomer in me that was like, something new on the platform. Oh my god, I don't want this.
Twitch is about
And
gaming.
yeah, Twitch is a gaming website. But now you've seen how it has evolved, and I don't think that Twitch would be anywhere where it is without just chatting and without IRL. I mean, you just take a look at some of the largest creators and how much content is created outside of the gaming environment. And then, unless you are an extremely talented person that is able to transcend video game content into more than just games, there's only so much that can be done within the gaming sphere of live streaming. But just chatting, IRL, podcasts, game shows, I think this past year with like OTK and like the Mizkif crew of doing these massive live in-person events and doing game shows has really, really shown us like what can be done as far as live streaming. Like our possibilities on Twitch now are the same as regular TV and movies. Like the sky is the limit. How much money do you want to spend?
Yeah, the thing that blows my mind is we still haven't even scratched the surface. All these broadcasts, and like the top level, watching esports broadcasts these days. That frankly, until I joined Efuse, I didn't really care about esports. I was never much into it, but obviously, Efuse has such a big esports element to it that I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to figure some things out now. So now I'm watching esports broadcasts, and they're on the same level as top level sports, and seeing what they produce compared to watching a Premier League back in the UK or something like that. And some of these broadcasts are run by basically a bunch of teenagers still sat in the bedrooms, because that's the power of it. It's all remote broadcast technology, and they're just cobbling all this stuff together. It's like, give them some money, see what they can do with it, really run with it, and it'll blow your mind. So I'm just excited for the future. I think it's going to blow up over the next couple of years.
Absolutely. Yeah, when we get to the point where we have esports stadiums in each city, and then we have like the ESPN of esports, right? Where we have a production as large as esports. And like I don't think that competitive gaming has been in the production world long enough for us to have like a Shaq or a Magic Johnson, people who are in the game that are now on the production side of it. Like we have a couple people that have been in competitive gaming for a really, really long time, and now they're on the esports desks, but that table is still like really, really small. And then to get to the point where like every aspect of live production as far as esports goes are all people that have been in the community or in the world for as long as it's been around. And you're right, we've barely scratched the surface, and there's so much more depth that could be discovered with this world. And yeah, it would be so awesome to be able to be like, hey, it's Friday night, we're going to watch some esports competitions at the arena downtown. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, I'm very ready for that. It's gonna be such an exciting time. Let's see what we can do.
Have you been to any like big production esports events in person yet?
I've been to a couple, even though I wasn't into it way back when. I it was one of the Rocket League lands in London a few years back, and it is like the only reason I went is because I knew the atmosphere would be bloody brilliant. Like
Yeah.
even if you don't actually care about esports, just being in that like packed like stadium and there's a few thousand people just going absolutely nuts. But yeah, signed me hell up. So yeah, I went with a few friends, basically spent the day drinking, and like phenomenal day. Definitely probably could have gone into esports then, but like, yeah, I was just like, didn't actually really much watch like what actually happened. I couldn't tell you what the hell the game was or even what teams were playing, but yeah, that atmosphere, that's one of my favorite things. It's just the buzz that comes around from it.
So I know that the conversation of crypto and NFTs is a very, very touchy one now. I still have yet to really sit down with somebody and really learn the depths of NFTs because I, again, not knowing a whole lot, I'm somebody who believes that there are some still really, really cool ways that NFTs could be used in our area. And one of the things that I think about is like, when you go to a sports event and they've got jerseys and they've got merch, having all of that same stuff for gamers would be really, really awesome. And then I think about NFTs for, having something to take away from an event like that, in digital form. That would be pretty cool. But again, it's getting into whole morality of NFTs and crypto and all that shit. But yeah, there's like the atmosphere of esports events is awesome. We traveled to Washington to see RLCS in 2017. I think it was 2017, 2018. And that was, I want to say, like 3 or 4,000 people. It was in a casino auditorium. So it was like you had to go through the casino to get to this like theater that they had. But awesome stage setup, massive screens, gamers and nerds everywhere just screaming about Rocket League, and a lot of tequila, a lot of Snickers bars, and it just had an absolute blast. Like going to a live experience for esports and just gaming competitions was just a really, really awesome experience.
Tequila and Snickers, though, it's a hell of a combo. Like,
I think I want to say between the five of us, there was probably well over $200 or $300 in tequila shots because I think it was like $8 or $9. No, it had to have been more. I think we need to be able to tell us because she went out and I think she did double shots of tequila by herself. She'll know how expensive it was. But one Snickers bar, like one regular size Snickers, I think it was like $6 or $7. They're just like absolutely insane
I mean, to be
prices.
fair, it's probably smarter. Like, I don't think we ate the entire day. Like, I was saying, like, I'm not going to go to the bar for like a lukewarm pint or something. I'm just going to be efficient about this. Give me double shots of Jägermeister, and I will move on with my life. And then
Jaeger, you're a Jaeger man.
it's the German
You are a
silent.
Don.
It's the German silent. The ice cold Jaeger does the trick. It's regretted every moment, but at the time, it's
I don't
terrific.
think I've had. I don't think I've had Jaeger in. The last time was probably a parade. Detroit has a pretty significant St. Patty's Day parade that happens every year. It's actually going on right now, and it was always Irish bombs and Jaeger bombs as well, just back to back. Oh my god, I can't believe I've never thrown up at a fucking parade like that, but I should have.
Yeah. The problem, most people really hate Jaeger because when they have it warm. So they have it in like a Jaeger bomb where it's like even a Red Bull isn't that like cold. You get really ice cold Jaeger, beautiful. It just goes down so smoothly. It's dangerous. It's like
I'm gonna try it next time I go out to the bar. I'm just gonna ask for a double Jaeger on the rocks and go from there.
go for it. It's beautiful. Or
Good shit.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. I'm gonna live tweet that whole experience just for you, Dom. As far as Clippy goes in the development, what was the biggest hurdle to get over in the development of that product? Like, is there one instance that you really struggled with to get it working how you wanted?
Yeah. It was the database side of things. I've coddled projects together in the past, and every single time I would avoid using databases. unless I absolutely needed to. Like, I was just, I don't want to touch them. I don't want to learn how to deal with SQL and all this like malarkey. And then I came to this and I was like, shit, I want to have users. You've got to store users somewhere. There's no way around this. I'm going to have to figure out databases. And one of my biggest problems with side projects sometimes, and particularly when it comes to like technology, is because I love technology so much, I love digging into it and reading up the different ones. So like when it came to figuring out a database, I'm like, oh shit, there's MongoDB and there's PostgreSQL and there's like PlanetScale and there's all these different. Oh, but this one can do it this way a little bit, and this one could be like slightly faster if I end up like his point. And I'm like, I got to a point where I'd spent like a good half a day just reading articles and looking into different database technologies. I was like, this doesn't matter. Like anyone using Clippy is not going to care how I'm storing their user details as long as I'm doing it in a way that's, conscious that it is their data and at the end of the day, fast and lets the product work. That's all they're going to care about. So I was like, I'm just going to pick one and go with it. So in the end, I just picked the one that I could do the cheapest. Like I could
Right.
always transition and shift it around if I get an issue. So yeah, but like it was real difficult to then have to sit down and I chose Postgres in the end, which was probably the more complicated one to deal with. But like it was just like best advised, and it was one that I could go on DigitalOcean, and they would do a managed database for me for like $50 a month, and they'd handle all the back end stuff. I just had a database endpoint that I could hit and store data in. I was like, perfect, that's all I need. I don't need to think about how to cluster this or all this bollocks. I just need to tell it, go store some details about this user and let me figure him out later. So once I got over that, kind of mental hurdle of trying to dig in and figure it all out and just get going, and then shifted past that, yeah, it's got way easier.
Gotcha. Well, how has your experience been with DigitalOcean as a whole?
I love DigitalOcean. I've used them for years for hosting like personal blogs and just dumb projects and stuff like that. So I was just like, yeah, I can get a DigitalOcean droplet set up for $5, and if I need to scale it up, I can. Like, they're probably more pricey than some other services, but just that ease of use of just being able to spin one up, tell it that hey, I need to be able to host a website, and it'll automatically install like Nginx and everything else I need, and then I can just dump my code on there and put it live. Like that was just a game changer for me.
Awesome. Did you now, with you being in Germany, did you have to set up any sort of digital shop on the US side of things so that it ran okay, or you're hosting everything internationally and it hasn't been an issue?
So that was one thing that blew my mind is just how little my infrastructure actually took. So when I first started it, I started in a closed beta. Like you had to DM me. It was only closed, and just like didn't want to go to sleep one night. Someone tweet about it or something, it blow up, and the server fall over, and people get a
Yep.
shitty experience because they're like, oh, so it's already crashed on the front. So I was like, no, I'll just slowly drip feed people in, and basically you DM'd me, you got access within half an hour. Like unless I was asleep. But I started with a $5 DigitalOcean droplet and a $15 database, and that kept going right up until Efuse acquired it. And we obviously then transferred it into Efuse's infrastructure and all that. But yeah, by the end, yeah, there was a couple of thousand people that were using Clippy, like, and yeah, never had to move off that $5 thing, and that was hosted out of Frankfurt or something like that. So, like,
That's crazy.
yeah, I was so prepared for like worst case, like and I was like, fine, if I have to throw a couple $100 at this a month for servers or whatever, that's fine. I can figure it out. But yeah, I was just like checking it, like particularly in early, I was checking it. So what's the CPU usage? What's the RAM? I don't think the CPU usage ever went over like 60, 70%. And that was at like peak, like peak NA streaming times. Like that was maybe when it could slightly get bad, but yeah, didn't break a sweat at all.
That is crazy. In regards to the acquisition with eFuse, is there a role or a responsibility that you are happy to give up for Efuse to manage? Instead of it just being a one-man show and you doing absolutely everything, is there something that now Efuse kind of handles for you that you're like, yeah, I don't give a shit. You can do that if you want. I hate it.
Writing code. That was it. Like when we first started talking, and there was when we first started talking, it was all just like kind of a partnership thing. Like, hey, what cool shit could we do between Clippy and Efuse? And we chatted more. And at one point, it was like, let's just go all in. Like, it just makes sense. Like, let's go. So we did the acquisition. When we first did it, they asked me, like, do you want to come on as a software engineer and build this? I was like, fuck no. I was like, I don't want to write another line of code in my life. I was like, I can come on and I'm happy to lead the product. Back then, I didn't really know what a product manager was. So I was basically describing a role of a product manager without realizing it. So I was like, yeah, I'm happy to come up with the ideas and engage with the community and do all this. But I was like, I don't want to write a line of code for a job. Like, it's one thing, cobbling it together, but I hate it. So you want to put a team of engineers on it, by all means, I am happy to give that up. So, and it's, resulted in a much better experience. The people who actually know how to write code now actually working on the product. So, it just improves it far more. I'm so lucky that I never really had a major issue with the code, or it never broke or anything like that. I think Clippy maybe had one outage, and it was because
Okay.
I accidentally wrote an infinite loop in somewhere. And if one person screwed it up, it would then just have this spin on effect and take it down for everyone. But yeah,
Okay.
once, I think. So it's pure luck that I made it through that. But yeah, now there's smart people in it who know what they're doing.
And I think what you have experienced, as a creator, as an owner, is kind of what I would assume a lot of creators would love to get to a certain point. Like, they would love to get to the point where they don't have to edit their YouTube videos. They don't have to edit their TikToks. And, they can just focus on what they started focusing on. Because, we've seen this evolution with live streaming where you could just live stream your gameplay, and that was good enough to keep you in the limelight. You could just stay doing that. But now what you have to do in order to stay relevant and to be able to grow, because with how many social media platforms pop up and then go away, it's almost like you have to pay attention to which ones are gonna flop, because you could have put your entire life into Instagram, and now Instagram is absolute trash. Like, you don't really hear about creators pushing Instagram anymore. It's all about TikTok. It's all about Twitter. And it's exhausting. So getting to a point where you can finally push off some of those responsibilities to other people, I would assume is probably a great feeling. And as you've expressed, not having to write code at all is probably great. And I would agree that never having to write code ever would be awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing that, especially when it comes to creating content, people always talk about, you have got to diversify and move away. And I think, when it comes to a job or something, I think it's the exact same. You do need to diversify your skills a little bit, but you also don't have to do everything. And, just focus on the things you do well, and try and, either minimize how much you have to do the other shit, or yeah, you can hand it off to someone else. Golden. Like, yeah, I'm very grateful I can do that.
During the, I guess more so before the acquisition process, was there any part of you that was a little hesitant to basically sign on godparents for this baby that you've created? Was there any reluctance to have bringing somebody else in because you didn't know where it was going to go? Or were you just at the point where you know what, I don't care what happens, this is something that I just created for myself. I'm excited enough to see where it is now. So yeah, take us through that thought process.
Yeah, I'd lie if I said there wasn't any apprehension. There was definitely always a little bit, and it mostly just came around that creative control, I guess. But one of the things I'd always consider is that eventually I'd launch a premium version of it. And my hope, for long term is that somehow I'd be able to earn enough money off it that I could quit my job, focusing on full time. But I was like, realistically, I'm not expecting this to become a breakaway success. And 5 years from now, it's probably IPOing and I'm retiring on a beach in the Bahamas. But I was like, sure, maybe I could get this to a point that I can sustain myself. That would be great. And so I was like, well, going with Efuse, I hit that point like now because now I've got a job with them. They're paying me a salary and I can just do my day job. But my day job is now building this thing. I've got
Yeah.
security there. So there was that little bit of like, oh, I could be giving up, you know, making like $2,000 a month. And I was like, it's not really giving up that much. Like, I was just like, sod it. I'm just going to go all in and jump into it. And it was kind of that realization that even my apprehension wasn't really an actual apprehension. Like, thinking about it, there was no red flags or even like a yellow flag or anything of like, oh, hey, you're going to be missing out or lacking on it. It actually just had so much additive to it. Like, yeah, I didn't have to write code now. I could just focus on building a really cool project and, build a new product and just keep advancing Clippy and focus on the bits I did enjoy. So it was just like, there were just so many benefits to it. It's kind of hard to list them all.
Now, looking back, I would assume that where you're at now is I guess I'll put it this way: how things turned out, was it one of your options when you started Clippy? Like, did you see it as an option, or was it not like this? Not even a thought.
It wasn't. It wasn't even a pipe dream. Like I said, I started Clippy for myself. I built it out so a few friends could use it. Never did I consider that even 50 people would be using it. That was one of the greatest things in the early days. Is like I coded the database and I had this little thing that just fired a message in Discord every time someone signed up. Watching, I was like, oh, we've hit 50 people. Now it's 100 people, and it just kept going faster. Like it took maybe 2 weeks to get to 100 people, and then 4 weeks to get to 500, 600, and it just kept ticking up. And I'm
Awesome.
like, shit, all these milestones keep going past. Oh, we've played 25,000 clips now, and then 3 weeks later, we've played 100,000 clips now. I think if I look at stats now, it's something bonkers. We're paying hundreds of thousand clips a month. It's just where is this? It's just flown away. So, yeah, when the acquisition kind of came around, I was like, this is just winning now. Sure, I could have got to this point in maybe 2 3 years where it paid my bills, but I'm at that point now. It will pay my bills now. It's just still a normal day job, and that's great. And it's a job I love, so that's an extra win.
Yeah, that is a win for sure, because now your day job involves the baby that you created, and you're not, you can stop work at 5 and then you can go home and do whatever. And again, that's another one of the dreams of being a content creator. How many millions of content creators right now, people that are streaming on Twitch, have a full-time job and then they come home and they try to be a content creator on top of that. But I would say that the dream for most of them is, oh, I just want to be able to stream full time, not really thinking like, oh, maybe there's a different route in content creation that I can go. Maybe, I think about what if a company came in and acquired my content underneath their umbrella to where I had my own show on, ESPN in general. And there was people who took care of my alerts and my overlays, and I just kept doing my own thing. And that was my 9 to 5. That would be fucking awesome. And I'm sure that there's probably, I don't know how that would work on the back end. I know that there's management companies out there for content creators, but I'm interested to see how that unfolds. Because the financial side of content creating is something that is also still very, very new, but we're now seeing creators branch out into different environments, and they're getting day jobs in content creation that might not necessarily be streaming full time.
Yeah, I think that's super interesting. Yeah, you bring up management companies, but I don't think there is anyone out there doing broadcast management. And I think that would be a game changer for so many streamers. Look at a lot of big streamers who their audio levels suck. They haven't put the time into tweaking OBS, and probably because they don't care. They just want to get on and create content. Great, that's the core thing. But you could have a support team that managed your OBS and made sure everything's okay and functioning. That would be a game changer for so much content. It's like bringing on an editor for your YouTube, right? They know they need to create YouTube content. They just don't want to. Editing's not their passion. Live streaming and creating content there is. So like, yeah, probably there's probably a gap in the market for that.
There probably is. I just brought on a guy to do editing for the podcast. Actually, his name is Dan, and he works for a company called The Endlessly, and they're somebody who, like, they manage the content editing and posting for their creators. And so, like, I see a huge market for that. Obviously, you need to have the revenue in order to support somebody like that. But I think, like, right now I'm at a standstill right now because I need new emotes, new overlays. I'm actually planning on changing the name of this podcast and coming up with totally new branding for it. If I had a company that could just do that for me, like I could just give them the ideas, they could create the emotes, create the overlays, handle the branding. Oh my God, that would be a fucking dream. Because I'm not good at any of those things. All of the overlays, the majority of my emotes, they're things that I've created myself. I'm not a graphic designer. I'm not good at coming up with logos or brand names. So I think for the larger creators, that's obviously going to be more successful. And I don't know I don't know how much involvement streamer management companies have in their creative side. Like, do they just handle brand deals, or can you say, like, hey, management company, I need new emotes, I need new versions of my emotes for Christmas that's coming up, and then that management company has their own graphic design team that can take your emotes. So I definitely see a point in the future where that'll be pretty popular.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'd be super interested to know if there are actually companies that are doing that. But I'm the same. Graphic design, I suck at. All my emotes I got done for my channel. I got lucky that I tweeted about emotes once. Like you tweet certain things on Twitter, you just get 1,000 people like, I can do this for you. I was so lucky. Someone responded to me, and they were great. Like, that was
Yeah.
what I wanted. They were super cheap. I was like, you're way undercharging for your skills. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I was like, I got so lucky there. And same with my logo. I've got a friend who's a graphic designer, and he actually gets up. I was just like, hey, I need a logo around my name. I was like, because that's my brand, because I'm too lazy to think up of a good brand. So I'm just going to be Dom Neuner. Like, so can you come up with a logo? I have literally no ideas. Just make something look cool. And he did. Smash it out. He did the Clippy logo as well. So it was the same.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, like even like the Clippy brand name, that was a placeholder. Like, it was never intended to be a long-term name. It was just like, I'm just going to call this Clippy for now. And obviously, it was always going to be just a temporary thing. So the bloody paperclip from Microsoft is what most people generally think about when you say Clippy. So I was just like, yeah, this will do
Yep.
for now. And again, it's just a side project, doesn't really matter. And now, yeah, he threw a great logo together, and now it is the brand name. And that paperclip has lost all association in my brain with the name. Now it's this thing. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Before we hop into the Q&A, is there any insight that you can provide as far as next steps with Clippy? Is there anything that you're working on now, or is there anything that you are looking to implement, without giving your ideas to the competition? Is there any sort of info that you can give us?
Yeah, well, we've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. And it's all just focused around enhancing the Clippy experience. So, more features around customization, more features for the BRB player. But then, we want to bring on new features and new products that, just enhance content creation. And the whole point is, it's supposed to help you focus on creating content, not using the product, not using the tool. It's supposed to just fall into the background and just become part of your toolkit. And so, yeah, we've got a lot of cool things coming out next week. This week we just released font customization. So, you've got a particular brand font that you use for your stream, you can now set the Clippy overlay to use that, and it will match that. So always adding new little things like that.
Awesome. Okay, sweet. Well, now that I have all of this extra information, and thank you so much for explaining it, it's definitely something that I would love to check out pretty soon and go over. It's so cool. Again, talking about people building products for this space, to see creators like you bring things, just wielding it into existence. And great work with it, man. It's been awesome watching the evolvement of the product, and the fact that you were able to secure a bag, get somebody to help out with the product, and you seem very happy, and so I'm super stoked for you.
Yeah, it's been a great experience, and I mean, it's been a hell of a journey. Like one of the things I always say is Clippy was a massive improvement for my mental health. Like when I started it, I was in a really bad place mentally. I was dealing with beginning of 2021, Berlin was in like a super severe lockdown. Like, so, same as everyone was dealing with like COVID fatigue and just like, when the fuck is this going to end? And, it was the first time I had ever like, gone, oh shit, I've got like mental health issues now. Like this isn't good. It
Yeah.
wasn't me that recognized it. It was my friends. They were like, "Yeah, Doc, you're not okay. Like you're drinking way too much." And I was like, "I'm not drinking that much." But oh shit, okay, actually, now that I think about it, maybe I'm drinking a little bit more than I should be. And so it's like credit to them that they even pointed that out. But what Clippy let me do was just have this project that I could laser focus on and have something to fill in that time. And yeah, just it kind of dragged me out of that pit and let me continue. So yeah, being here, almost a year and a half later from it, and being this thing, and working with Efuse, everyone at Efuse is brilliant. It's everyone always says, "Oh yeah, where I work is great," but like they're great. There's so many talented people there, like who genuinely love what they do. And one of my favorite things is like people love what they do and they love coming in and killing it every day. But everyone is still happy to go home at 5 p.m. Like it's not like this crazy culture where everyone's like on, and burn out within 3 months. Like people come in, do good shit, and then go home and live their lives as well. And it's one of my favorite things about being there.
That's awesome to hear. And I think along the lines of the mental health issues with COVID, you are so right. Where there was probably a lot of people who like yourself and myself who had underlying either anxiety or depression. And it wasn't until my girlfriend started researching ADHD and me realizing that like I might have ADHD, which has very large tie-ins to anxiety and depression, and COVID just being a huge kick in the nuts. Be like, oh no, I'm not acting right. Now that I'm looking at it, yeah, this isn't right. But goddamn, yeah, it's been a traumatizing and very, very challenging experience. But to hear that you were able to make something dope happen in the middle of all of that, and you're in a place that you like, and with a job that you like, that's fucking awesome. What's your favorite place about, or favorite thing about living in Germany right now?
It's a great culture, like particularly in Berlin specifically. There's so much happening here. Because of COVID, I really haven't had a chance to experience it yet. Like there's just anything you want to do, you can pretty much do in Berlin. You love clubbing, like the clubbing scene's brilliant. You want to go and get off your tits listening to techno until 8 a.m. You can do that. Or you want to go see history, like particularly Berlin being such a cultural history point of like Cold War and the post-war things and all the background there and seeing how it's affected people. Like one of my favorite museums in Berlin is all about East Germany and how people lived like in East Berlin and East Germany. It's like some crazy shit that happened back then. So like, and it'll be a shame to leave it because I'm because of being part of Efuse, I'm hopefully going to move out to the US in the summer. So gonna go to sunny Ohio where Efuse is based. So
Oh God, no, not Ohio.
that's what fucking everyone says. Like, oh yeah, where are you moving? Ohio. Why? And I'm like,
No.
so yeah, they're based out of Columbus, Ohio. So like,
Oh, okay, that's okay. Columbus
yeah,
is
it's
okay.
quite a nice city. I came out in December, and I'm coming out in like 2 weeks. Actually, I actually just booked my flights this weekend. So we kick off the start of the quarter, like everyone getting together, having a bit of a powwow, and just really nice to get everyone in the same room and really connect. So yeah, it's gonna be nice. Gonna see a lot of faces for the first time in person. Like, this is normally my interaction with 90% of people at Efuse is this way. I'm the only person from Europe that works at Efuse. So like,
Oh no shit. Okay.
yeah. Everyone else is based out of US. So like, yeah, it'd be nice to actually get on the same time zone as everyone.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, so I'm in Michigan. I'm just north of Ohio. So I in my blood, I just hate everything about Ohio. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm eager to see your opinion on the United States public transportation as opposed to transportation, and because it's almost non-existent. It's absolute garbage. So hey, more room for a Tesla for you.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually have to get a driving license. That's the only downside. So.
Yeah, yeah. All right, moving on to the Q&A. We got some questions from the homies in chat. Questions are now closed, so the last question is going to be the one that Remax just answered or just asked in chat. So thank you everybody for your questions. This first one is from VLTG. Why does Don have a penguin on his hat when he hates penguins?
So this was actually bought by my brother at Christmas, and it's because I fucking hate penguins. And so he bought it for me from my baby niece, who, I absolutely adore. She's a year old now, but I wouldn't know. But yeah, so he was like, oh, Lyra's bought you a present for Christmas. I was like, oh, nice. Wonder what it's going to be. He's like, you're going to love it. And it kind of came around like since starting working at Efuse, everyone wears hats. Like, I've never seen so many people wear hats. Like, it's just not that common here. And I'm like, so I'll be like on a meeting and like 8 other people there, like 6 of them are wearing hats. So it's like, I want to get you a hat for Christmas. And then, it's Original Penguin, which is like a great brand. It's like, yeah, you're going to wear penguins on a daily basis now. So this fucking thing is.
That's as a religious hat wearer, I can say that hats are very, very big in our culture for sure. Next question from Patty Bang. What was the hardest and easiest part through creating Clippy? Now I know we kind of touched on the hardest bit a little, but feel free to answer both sides of that question.
Yeah, I think, other than like just the database side of things, the hardest part was definitely marketing and social media. Like, I like tweeting crap, but can't do that to grow a brand. So, trying to establish a brand identity for Clippy. That's one of the things I wanted to do from the very get go. I never wanted it to be like about me. I wanted it to be its own thing from the get go. So it was like, even when I was doing tweets, I was always tweeting like, "Oh, we've released this new thing," or the team did this. Like, even though it's all me, I just wanted to move away from that. So trying to figure out, and I've got a friend of mine, my best friend. She helped me out loads. Like, she was like helping me come up with like social media schedules and stuff like that. And she wasn't doing any of the tweeting or anything like that, but was just like, "Hey, here's some ideas and things like that." And it all kind of just culminated quite well. But then also on the flip side, that was also one of the easiest things because it was a product that could sell itself. Like, the amount of people that would come in and see Clippy on someone else's stream and they go, "Oh shit, I need that." They'd sign up, and then someone else would come into their stream. And it's really interesting. You can kind of see it like work its way through communities sometimes. Like Escape from Tarkov, there are so many creators that do use Clippy. It's because they've seen it on each other's streams. They rated them. Oh shit, no, I don't have that. And I can just follow this chain, and it's like 6 people later that I don't know. I'm like, oh yeah, I know where you got that from. And, it's shout out to a lot of friends. They were incredibly supportive. I've got a lot of friends who are content creators who used Clippy on their streams and really shouted to the heavens about it. And so, it built up that brand identity and made it a hell of a lot easier. So it was both the most difficult things. I had to figure shit out. But yeah, community support was golden from day one. Like, made it what it is.
Fucking awesome. All right, next question from Sir Crush. I've been using Clippy for quite some time, and I've always wondered just how big Clippy is in terms of active users. Also, once again, thank you for this tool. It is wonderful, to say the least.
Active users, lots. Yeah, it's definitely in the thousands now. It's bonkers to say, but yeah, I couldn't pick the exact figure off the top of my head, but it's definitely, it's in the thousands, and it's not just like, oh, it's 1,002 people using it. There's a lot of people regularly using it. I've come across streams and like I'm just like, oh shit, you've got Clippy. I didn't even know you. Like, that was one of the things I always noticed first. I pretty much tell you every Clippy user, like, the first like 300-400 people, and then now it's so hard for me to keep track. And I kind of missed that a little bit, like being able to keep track. Like, I used to stop by streams all the time, but it's just not physically possible at this point to keep track of every
Yeah.
single person. But it's so great. Like, we launched a premium product, 2 months ago now, and it's so nice to see like people who were using it like a year ago who have now come back and are now paying money for it. So every time I see someone's name pop up that I do recognize, just like, yeah, it melts my heart. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah.
Yes, that's the exact reaction I'm looking for. All right. This one is from Let's Remax. Favorite spot in Berlin?
Oh, that's hard to pick. Depends what you want to do. Like, one of my favorite drinking spots is the Prater Beer Garden. That's great in summer. I spent a lot of time there watching England win and then lose during the Euros 2021. That was traumatic. Food wise, one of my favorite spots is Blackbeard's. It's like a barbecue meat, like smokehouse joint. It's probably not on the same level as like American barbecue, but like for Berlin, it's pretty great. And then like the park, I cycle through a park called Tiergarten every day. It's like one of the biggest parks in Berlin. It's like right in the center. And that's just great on like a summer's day. It's so big, you can just get lost in it. And just take a buck, chill in there with a couple of beers. Great way to spend summer.
Is what's the native Berlin beer compared to UK beer?
So
With who wins?
So much. But UK beer is it's fucking horrific. Like, I've always, my friends used to call me a beer snob. I'm not like a big IPA person or like craft beer. Never been into that. It's like, I'm boring with beer. Just give me a beer. That's all I want. I've always said German beer is so much better. It's always goes back, they literally have a law on it. It's called the Reinheitsgebot. It's like a 500-year-old law about how to brew beer, and like, beer can only have the four ingredients that make beer, and that's it. Anything else, bugger off. Whereas like UK beer, it's just all so bad. It's horrific. And the way I always like to point it out is like, if I go to a bar in Germany, I order a beer. I don't order a brand. I don't say, hey, I want Heineken or something. I just go beer, and I get a beer. Whereas in the UK, like, oh, what you got on tap and this. So yeah,
Interesting.
And it's really interesting.
Now, go ahead.
But yeah, it's really interesting as well is that different regions in Germany have different styles of beer as well. So like in Berlin, the predominant style is a Pilsner beer, which I'm not a big fan of. I find it a bit heavy. But like, where my family's from in the south of Germany, it's a Helles beer is the more common one. And that's like the one they drink at Oktoberfest. And it's like a really light beer. It's still just as alcoholic, but it's like it's a super light beer. And so when you see them drinking these like massive like Masskrugs of like liter at a time, like people always like, oh, imagine it like being something like a Pilsner or a really heavy lager. It's like, no, it goes down a drain. Like you can just knock it back and move on. So,
hell yeah. Oh man, you just mentioned something that I lost it. But yeah, good to know. Good to know. We've had over the years, I've had a lot of people from Germany in the communities that I was involved in, and beer is always one of the things that I'm like, one of these days I'll get over there to try some of it. I've heard so many amazing things about Germany in general, and of course Berlin as well.
Yeah, if you're a craft beer lover, Germany's not great. Like, because they have this law, it's like, you gotta just do this. There's no real room for experimentation. Like, so the craft beer scene definitely does lack here if that, you're a crazy person now.
I'm kind of all over the place. I'm somebody who I can go to a bar or a pub and just say like, give me a PBR or a Molson or Coors, which are all like piss beer, disgusting. But when they're ice cold, they're delicious.
Yeah.
But I also love to indulge in like a $15 bottle of beer too. I love the craft shit. I'm not an IPA guy at all anymore. So it's super interesting to have a place where you go in and say, I just need a beer, because like here in American culture, if you put it on the waiter or the waitress or the wait staff, like to pick the beer for you, they will give you shit. There's nothing that our people hate more than making them pick the drink for you. But again, if you just say I want a beer because the options are a little bit more limited, but I would love it's like I'm here. Give me a beer. I don't care what it
Yeah.
is. Just give it to me. I would love that.
Yeah, it's so easy. And a big part of that is because all the breweries, particularly in the South, pretty much each town will have its own town brewery. There's supplies all the pubs and restaurants and all that. So you can't go in and say, I want this particular brand of beer because it's not going to exist there. That's 4 towns over. There's a couple of larger. You've got Augustina and Paulana, and then Hofbrau from the South. They're the ones you can get in different, but they're also the ones that are just brewed for export as well. So that's why you can
Ah,
get them around a bit more. But yeah, most of the time it's just you can only ask for a beer because you don't know what the brand is.
interesting. Okay, awesome. Next question, also from VLTG. Why is clipperus.com the best link for accessing Clippy? Did this man misspell clitoris, but but
It's the
swap
joke.
in clipperus?
It's the joke. When I and the thing is, you can go to clippers.com and it will redirect you to Clippy because he bought the domain name. So it was when I said, Clippy was just a holding name. And so I was asking a bunch of my friends, and so Voltage, the person who's asked this question, I was asking people hey, suggest names. I don't want to stick with Clippy. I want to come up with something else. And so they still had the ability to find clips. He was like, you should call it Clipperist because people really struggle to find the clips sometimes. And I was like, and I fucking love it. Brilliant. And I love that tagline. I was like, I can't build a brand on that. It's just
Yeah.
not going to work. But I fucking love it.
Oh my god, that's fucking amazing. So I did just try it, and DNS does forward me over to efuse.gg, and I scrolled down a little bit, and then there's the headshot of OG Pickle that's down a little bit. What a majestic looking picture. That he looks so fucking good in that shot. He's actually another gentleman that I've been looking to do a podcast with because he's NFT crypto. He's very, very involved in that world, and he's somebody that I would love to get on the show to kind of talk about that stuff. But I was just I was scrolling past. I'm like, Jesus Christ, he's gorgeous. He looks so good.
He's a good one. I'll never tell him it because he's also the reason that Clippy's part of Efuse. He's a friend of mine that I've known for a couple of years now. And yeah, he was the one that kind of made the intro and was like, because he also works at Efuse, so
Okay.
he was like, hey, let's do this partnership thing, and then now we're here. So I still bully him. He tells me I owe him dinner for that, but last time I went to Columbus, he ghosted me. So
Oh, called out. Interesting. All right. Second to last question from Fucko the Clown. Do you like guacamole?
I do. But fresh guacamole. Good. Don't just give me pureed shit. Give me a proper guac and I will go for it.
Hell yeah. And last question from Remax. Have you visited the Video Game Museum in Berlin, and did you like it?
I have, actually, because I used to live right next door to it, across the street. So my second apartment in Berlin was there. And a lot of museums in Berlin, when we kind of reopened after COVID, a lot of them were still couldn't go to bars, but museums are allowed to reopen. So a lot of them open for free, and you can just go in, check them out, and so that's pretty much all I did. Is I went around all the museums and went up to drink. So yeah, definitely been to that one.
Awesome. Well, my dude, that is all for the questions of the podcast, and that actually will wrap up the podcast as well. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day, not only taking your time to be here, but when your internet died at home, taking a 20-minute bike ride into the office just so you could be here. I really, really appreciate that, and I can't thank you enough. So do me a favor, take this last minute to shout out anything, sell yourself, sell out. If there's any upcoming things that you want to announce, anything in the future, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I would just say if you haven't got Clippy on your stream yet, what are you doing with your life? Get it sorted. Go to efuse.gg/Clippy. It takes 5 minutes. Get it done. And if you want to care about what I say, and I say all sorts of dumb shit all the time, I'm Dom Neuner on all socials because again, I'm not imaginative, so I keep it simple. My name, easy peasy, and don't go to clippers.com. That's the only requirement I was saying. Don't
That is
encourage
fucking
him.
hilarious. As somebody who has like sexual humor is a massive part of my humor. Like everything is a dick joke. I'm so immature. So to see something like that is so fucking funny to me. And to have it have like a little origin story too, it resonates very hard with me. I love it. All right, dude. Again, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Chat, thank you for being here, asking questions, keeping the chat alive. I really appreciate it. This podcast will be back next Sunday for the group show with Middle Age Stream and Bishop GP, as well as there will be another tech stream on this channel this upcoming Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everybody have a fantastic rest of their Sunday. Hopefully you can get that hour back that you lost if you're in the United States, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of the day. So take care. We'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Peace.